Welcome to the None But Curious podcast. We're all about finding inspiration in life's uncertainties. Whether you're still figuring things out, questioning your beliefs, or just curious about the world, come hang out with us as we celebrate the beauty of not having all the answers. The other day, I was scrolling through Instagram, likely distracted from what I was supposed to be doing, and I happened upon this lady who crocheted a woolly mammoth, and it was absolutely adorable. And I was looking at her creation, and then I found myself looking behind her at her wall of yarn, and there was all different colors and textures and drawers and organization, and it was just an amazing clip. And it led me to two thoughts. One, um, the gratitude for having the ability to dabble in my curiosities over the past few years and finding out what I like, what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I might not be so good at. But I also thought about what my life would look like if I've been less distracted. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Distraction is a pervasive element in our modern lives, often seen as an unavoidable consequence of our fast paced, information rich environment. Have you ever, though, considered that the roots of distraction might run deeper than the immediate influx of notifications and external demands? Today, we're going to talk about the more profound causes of distraction and its effects, and shed light on how a lack of self awareness and balance in our lives can make us vulnerable to being easily sidetracked. One significant cause of distraction is a lack of self awareness. When we're not in tune with our inner selves, it's easy to be swayed by external influences. This disconnection makes us vulnerable to distractions because we lack a clear sense of purpose and direction. I want you to think about a time when you had laser focus on an idea or a project. Got it? Nothing gets in the way of your goal, right? Intrusive thoughts? Nah. Insecurities? What are those? You don't think about the last time you scrolled through social media, and you might honestly not even know what day it is. You know what you want, and you concentrate on how to get it. Cultivating self awareness through practices like meditation and mindfulness help us anchor in the present moment and reduce the power of distractions. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I am not the most disciplined when it comes to meditation. And depending on the day, my emotions can whoosh from one end of the spectrum to the other. My inner thoughts are definitely a distraction. And the habit I've taken to recently is shifting from asking myself, how do I feel, to where do I feel? Focusing on where the emotion is located is like suddenly finding a place on a map. I can point to my leg and say, it burns here, or my elbow, oh, there's a dull ache. This practice helps with everyday mindfulness in that instead of going down the path to overwhelm, I can simply observe the distraction and say, oh, look at that there, and keep on keeping on. Another cause of distraction is imbalance in our lives. When we neglect activities that nurture our well being, whether it's exercise, hobbies we enjoy, or spending time with people we love, we create a void. We unconsciously try to fill this void with superficial activities and distractions. By prioritizing our well being, we can restore balance and become less susceptible to distractions. For example, I was unhappy in my prior marriage. I did everything I could on my end to make the relationship work, but as it seemed nothing was working, there was a point I started filling my to do list and schedule and took on extra projects and volunteered my time for things I likely didn't have time for. I no longer had time to myself or to do much of anything, but I was desperately trying to distract myself from the thoughts of ending that relationship. Instead of helping the situation, the constant distractions caused me to be away from my kids more, caused me to be exhausted, snippy, sharp tongued. It all just added to the sadness I was trying to escape from. Since then, I have noticed that when I get overwhelmed by feelings I don't want to acknowledge or can't make sense of, I start adding projects to my list. They're started, but take way too long to finish. Or, as I've noticed in the past couple of years, I've been known to stare at my phone. Now, to be fair, when I went back to school a couple years ago, there was an app I could use to read my assignments as I nursed and rocked my baby to sleep, and that was super helpful. Though when school was finished, I was still scrolling through my phone. And I admittedly have it nearby because it's challenging to make conversation with teenagers who don't necessarily want to chat or even talk to a very tired husband who just really wants to decompress from a long, hard day at work. And now that I have a podcast, I will grab my phone to jot a note or look up something I thought of and bookmark it. And then other times, I just zone out while scrolling mindlessly. I'm not taking in any of the content whatsoever. And because of this, I've been feeling the need for a digital detox for quite some time. However, most of my work is done online and I need to answer texts and emails in a somewhat timely manner. Am I avoiding what I know needs to be done? Yeah, of course I am. But isn't that the way of the world now? So, a little over 3 years ago, I happened upon the book 24/6 Giving Up Screens One Day a Week to Get More Time, Creativity, and Connection by Tiffany Schlein. Her story reminded me of why I used to love power outages when I was a kid, because it was one of the times I remember connecting with my parents and brother and us all actually enjoying spending time together. So after reading this book, as the kids were not yet teenagers, the big kids at least, I convinced the family to partake in what Schlang calls a weekly tech Shabbat. And the kids complained. Oh, they complained and they moaned and they groaned and they mumbled. But after about an hour and a half or so, something magical happened. We were all spending time together and truly enjoying it. Now, this was before our little one came along, and so now spending time together is peppered with random interruptions from our 3-year-old. And spending time with the teenagers is, rare because they've got their own thing going on. On a larger scale, the collective state of society can influence our experiences of distraction. In our age of information overload and rapid technological advancement, the collective energy is often chaotic and scattered. This collective state of distraction can permeate our personal lives, making it challenging to maintain focus. Oh, this happened during the pandemic. The kids were online students at a time when they really needed to be near their peers for social development. And we all were in a state of shock of sorts. So we distracted ourselves with things like Ancestry.com, sourdough bread starters. Well, what did you do during lockdown? We watched a lot of movies too. 4 years later, I can see how that whole situation affected my kids. They're constantly on their phones texting or watching videos or reading. Those electric bricks were their lifeline at a really scary time. And admittedly, my attachment to my phone started months before COVID, as I was constantly on it with a guy I was in a long distance relationship with. And he's now my husband. So, should I be grateful for distractions then? Sometimes they're good. What are the overall effects of distractions on our lives? One profound effect is a sense of disconnection. Constant distraction makes us lose touch with our inner selves and deeper purposes, leading to feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction. Reconnecting with ourself requires conscious effort and dedication to practices that nurture our well being. Distraction also disrupts our inner calm, creating a state of constant mental agitation. Our mind becomes a battleground of competing thoughts and stimuli, preventing us from experiencing true peace. I'm in that mode right now. On a broader level, distraction hinders our personal growth. It prevents us from delving deep into self reflection and introspection, essential components of the journey towards self realization. By reducing distractions and creating space for contemplation, we open ourselves to greater insights and revelations that can help us move forward. So, how do we cultivate a more focused, purposeful life? First, mindfulness and meditation are powerful tools. These practices help anchor our attention in the present moment and reduce the influence of external stimuli. Through regular meditation, we cultivate a state of inner stillness, allowing us to observe distractions without becoming entangled in them. Next, adopting an intentional approach to life involves making conscious choices that align with our values and goals. By setting clear intentions and prioritizing activities that nurture our growth, we can minimize distractions and create a more meaningful existence. This requires discernment and the ability to say no to activities and commitments that do not bring us joy or at least contentment. And I will say that this is much more challenging to do than meditation, but it's absolutely necessary. Cultivating detachment from material possessions and external validation is also essential. Embracing simplicity in our lives helps us focus on what truly matters and reduces the clutter that can lead to mental and emotional distraction. For instance, Every 3 months or so, I get an urge to purge. I get the big kids to go through their things begrudgingly. I'll get my guy to go through his stuff and I'll pilfer through the rest of the house. We'll sell a few items, but the rest of the stuff is donated to local charities for people who will appreciate it. And it doesn't mean that renouncing all material aspects of life, but developing a healthy relationship with them so they don't dictate our sense of self worth or purpose. Retail therapy is a thing, but you got to slow it down a little bit. Engaging in regular practices such as exercise, journaling, or mindfulness can help maintain our connection to our goals and mitigate the effects of distraction. These practices help clear our minds, align our focus, and elevate our consciousness, making it easier to stay focused and centered amidst the chaos of daily life. It's been over 3 years since I've went biking. 2 weeks ago, I decided to attach the bike trailer to my bike and haul it and the toddler around the neighborhood. And those 20-ish minute rides kick my ass. I didn't realize just how hilly my neighborhood is. And also, hauling 60 pounds up those teeny tiny hills is no easy feat, let alone the big ones. I will tell you though, in those moments, I am thinking of nothing except riding my bike and keeping my kids safe. I hear my breath, I feel my heartbeat, I sense the burning in my muscles. It is agony and joy all rolled into one. Finally, creating a conducive environment, both physically and mentally, supports focus and connection. This could involve setting up a dedicated space for work or relaxation free from digital distractions. Creating rituals and routines that foster a sense of purpose in our daily activities can anchor us in the present moment and reduce the tendency towards distraction. A month or so ago, I finally painted our bedroom this lavender lilac-y color, and I bought new curtains, and they're like they're linen, but they're light blocking and noise blocking. Amazing. And though I don't get much sleep, when I walk into our room, I feel an instant calm and coziness. It's kind of like a hug. And when I get frustrated in the house now, I find myself walking upstairs to our room. I'll look around the room, take a few deep breaths, put lotion on my hands, rub them together, and center myself. It takes less than 60 seconds, but just those few little things that I do helps me when I get frazzled. That's all it takes, just a minute. So look around your personal space and your workspaces. Are they set up in a way that promote focus and minimize distractions? What changes can you make to create a more supportive environment for concentration and intentional living? And while we're reflecting, I invite you to reflect on your relationship with digital devices. Do you feel that technology often distracts you from more meaningful activities? Are you on your phone a lot more than you should be? What strategies can you implement to manage your digital consumption more mindfully? There's apps and timers and doohickeys that you can use that can help you become aware of how much you're using digital devices and then set timers and things like that to help you manage it. But before you take a likely much needed digital detox, please be sure to subscribe to the Numb But Curious podcast on your favorite platform. If you leave a review, others can find these episodes more easily. And until next time, may you find magic in the mundane.